Okay, going to call the regular meeting of council in order for Monday, May 25th. Take approval of the agenda, please. Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the May 25th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes for May 4th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxana.
That the May 4th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Minutes for May 5th, special council meeting minutes. Recommendation, Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the May 5th, 2026 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. May 11th, 2026 special council meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxana.
That the May 11th, 2026 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Norbury. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. May 15th, 2026 special council meeting minutes. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the May 15th, 2026 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes from council? Staff?
I just wanted to provide council with an update from the May 15th special meeting minutes where there was the motion made to provide, add $50,000 to the budget for irrigation on the soccer field. The Ministry of Infrastructure is doing sod and
Irrigation.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Just provide council with that update.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, moving right on to delegations. Tumbler Ridge Sportsman Association, Jonathan Howe and Link Edward will discuss the security deposit clause in the organization sublicense of occupation agreement with the district. If you can just please come up to the delegation table. It's 2 seats up front.
Link couldn't be with me this evening. I can sit and read through my little statement.
It's all yours.
Ready? Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jonathan Howe, and I'm here on behalf of the Tumbler Ridge Sportsmen's Association regarding our lease of occupation agreement for the Sportsman's Range facility. We are respectfully asking Council to either waive the $10,000 security deposit requirement contained in the proposed sublicense agreement and modify the agreement as such, or alternatively, approve the amount as a grant in aid or fee for service so the lease can be finalized. If Council chooses to provide the $10,000 through a grant in aid or fee for service funding, the funds would effectively remain under district control as security under the lease agreement. From our perspective, this becomes largely an accounting exercise that allows the lease to proceed while preserving the association's limited operational reserves for range compliance and infrastructure improvements. Our range is currently closed for shooting activities while we address minor deficiencies, most of which we expect to resolve this week for range number 3. This closure has effectively stopped all membership sales for the new season. Normally, we sell 9 to 10 memberships per week at this time of year and average around 150 members annually. Right now, we only have 9 paid members. This closure also prevents local RCMP members and the Canadian Rangers from using the facility for training and qualifications. While we do currently have sufficient funds to provide the deposit ourselves, doing so would consume a significant portion of our reserves. These reserves were being intentionally saved for future range improvements, including construction of a new shelter on Range 3 and continued remediation work required by our recent inspection report. This lease is now a critical requirement following the recent RCMP firearms officer range inspection. In order for our range approvals to proceed and for us to reopen even our near compliant Range 3, we must submit a completed lease agreement to the Chief Firearms Office. The Sportsmen's Association has operated this facility since the 1980s, and to our knowledge, a security deposit has never previously been required or collected under earlier lease agreements. We are a small, volunteer-run nonprofit organization funded almost entirely through membership sales. Our annual revenue is typically between $3,000 and $3,500 per year, and all maintenance and upkeep is completed through volunteer labor. The Sportsmen's Association provides a safe, controlled environment for lawful firearms use and training in our community. Without an operational range, recreational shooting activity is increasingly occurring in uncontrolled gravel pits and bush areas that do not offer the same level of oversight or safety. Finalizing this lease will allow us to reopen the range safely and quickly, continue serving our members, support local law enforcement and ranger patrols, and maintain this important community recreation and safety asset. I have brought along supporting documentation for your review if required, including our current proof of insurance, current bank statement, recent RCMP CFO inspection report, and a copy of the latest sublicense of occupation document. And we'll be happy to answer any questions Mayor and Council may have before a decision on this topic is finalized. I'm not aware if, I brought my packages pre-meeting. I didn't realize I was supposed to have them when I submitted my delegation package, so you may not receive them.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't, thanks, Mr. Howe, for coming in. Yeah, we didn't receive them. I know staff, I believe, has them or will get them to us later on. And we'll get an opportunity to read through all that. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you also coming in and have a conversation with council in regards to your security deposit and how that can be maybe handled by council with direction. But just so you're aware, due to delegation nights, we don't make direction on delegation night. So I want to make sure that's clear for tonight.
Yep.
Councilor Norbury and then Councilor Noxetta.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Howe. We've been adding changes to all of our leases due to recommendations from lawyers or other organizations trying to, that are now requirements. And from what I understand, this $10,000 security deposit is a requirement from us on behalf of the province. Is that correct, Mayor?
I'm not sure if it's on behalf of the province. Could be legal and then obviously under from our insurance from liability.
It's not clear in the sublicense agreement that it's from the province,
Okay.
if so.
Fair enough. And so from what I understand, like this is something that the district, it needs to come from somewhere, either district or the Sportsman Association. And, looking back at our, when we reviewed this last, we recognize that, and that's why it was put in. But, I appreciate you coming in to inform us and to tell us that this is a barrier for the Sportsman Association from operating the range. I feel the range is a very important part of this community. That sport is very, there's obviously active members in it. And the last thing I want to do is prevent the club from being able to maintain its assets to have to pay this. Because the money that you raise, I have no doubt, goes to maintaining, making improvements. I know that you've made some improvements out there recently. Again, we can't make decisions at this point in time, but I think there are ways for us to work through this and to take care of this on your behalf, which would be my intention. So, thanks for bringing it forward, because one of the challenges that we face is that when we're sitting down reading a page and we're discussing with each other, we try and think about how this would impact the groups and the people that we're talking about, but we also need to get that feedback as well. So this is that opportunity that you're giving it to us and showing us how the negative impacts of these changes are happening. So thanks for coming in, and definitely want to support you guys and get you open as soon as possible.
Thank you, Councilor Norbury.
Councilor Noxetta.
Thank you. With an updated lease agreement, how soon would you suspect Range 3 would be open?
We hope to have the final remediations on Range 3 completed this week. We then send proof of those remediations to the CFO's office with the lease agreement, if it was available, which I don't expect it to be that soon. But basically, that's our final barrier. On Range 3 right now, the remediations we have to make are very minor in nature. It's mostly signage.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming in and explaining your challenges there. I'm just curious if the Sportsmen's Association's ever applied for a grant in aid.
Not a grant in aid, I don't believe so. I know we have received grants from NDIT in the past, and there was some district involvement there as well, but I couldn't speak to the fact if it was a fee-for-service or grant in aid.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely recommend applying, and not just for the $10,000. I think, if you and the board discuss some necessary improvements as well, I'm sure this council would be in favor of supporting. So I would definitely recommend it.
Thank you, Councillor Bertrand.
Any other questions from council? All All right, thanks very much, Mr. Howe, and yeah, I mean, I use your gun range as a member. You guys have done a great job out there in upkeep, but also adding the new things and stuff. And again, we don't do direction during delegation, but what I can say is this will come forward to another council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mayor.
You bet. Okay, Northern Lights College, Jessie Drew, Tara Highland-Russell, Lindsey Borek, Steve Dowling, and Todd Bondaroff to provide updates, share current initiatives, and discuss potential opportunities. Welcome. We might need to get you a few more chairs.
I think we have a plan to share.
Do you have a plan? Okay. I think they're coming with a couple anyways.
Oh, even better, perfect. Yeah, we have a presentation that we can click through as well.
Bring one to the other side.
Maybe we'll go down there and let him sit up here.
You're going to sit on that side? Okay. Good.
It's all yours.
Am I advancing the slides or somebody?
I think Karen is behind you.
Okay, well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having Northern Lights College here today for your meeting. We wanted to provide you an update on the current and the future status for Northern Lights College in the community of Tumbler Ridge. Of course, we've been attached to the high school since 1983, which has been a very long time. And of course, as the high school has moved temporarily into new space, the college wasn't able to move with them due to where it was being established in the community. So we had to find some new space here in Tumbler Ridge for our operations to continue. And definitely we are very committed to being active and engaged in this community and delivering post-secondary education for it, and also connecting students who are here to the broader region, province, or the world for that matter in education. So I brought a whole team with me here today to kind of share what we're working on and just to let you all know what that looks like and where we're going. So I'm going to ask Steve Dowling, our campus administrator for Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge, to talk about our new access center here in town.
Okay, thanks, Todd, and good evening to all. So as the slide depicts here, we have been able to secure a new location right next to the post office, Front Street, as the slide shows. As with any location, what we are currently doing is going through a pretty major renovation to suit the needs of the college. So really from the ground up, from flooring to walls to taking down some walls to adding some walls, we're just about done. I'm going to call it maybe phase one of a washroom and a kitchen, a little bit of a lounge area to update our space to an access center. What I do want people to know, and then especially it's very timely, we've received some calls over the last week, is the center is open. Now, like I say, it's under renovations, but we do have a half-time campus services clerk who is in the location as we speak and can help people with different questions and programming and what we have to look forward to. The hours are a bit varied as we work through this transition, but roughly speaking, Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 2 o'clock, she'll be around. And there is a new phone number as well, which unfortunately I don't have off the top of my head. It's probably in my phone, but a cell phone that Lisa Moran, the campus service clerk, has that can access by the phone as well. We're looking to have things completed. We're hoping to be ready to go for September of this year and to have our new space open. So sort of stay tuned for a grand opening and some firm dates and some invites to come as we introduce the new space to the community.
Okay, thanks, Steve. We'll go to the next slide. With me is Lindsey Borek. She's our executive director for the foundation at the college. And Lindsey's just going to update on what's happening there here for Tumbler Ridge.
Perfect. Thank you, Todd. Am I good? Is there people online or can I just use my big voice? Oh, it can come towards.
Oh, it can move?
Okay. I was like, I can use it. Oh, thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for having us. So our job at the foundation is really to make that connection and really help support our students on their lifelong journey of learning. And so the way we do that is really building relationships in the communities that we have and building partnerships and being able to contribute back to the communities that we serve. And so one of the big things that we do is really support from that educational side our students, but also our programming at NLC and making sure we're meeting the need that we have within the region. So last year alone, we were able to help students and support in just over $369,000 just to our students who attend Northern Lights College in our region, which is amazing. And so one of the things that we were able to create in this little past was the Northern Resilience Memorial Fund. And we created this, our board came forward and really wanted to support the community of Tumbler Ridge in light of everything that was happening, and we wanted to show up in a way that was meaningful to the community and would leave a lasting impact for the community and really help local students and pursue their education and build brighter futures, carrying forward the strength and spirit that define the community. And so through this fund, it's an endowment fund that's currently sitting at about $8,000, and it will be able to realize awards for students within the Tumbler Ridge community, whether they're accessing education right here in Tumbler Ridge or at one of our Northern Lights College campuses across the region. And so that's something that we're really proud of, and we look forward to helping support our students. And as the Access Center gets going and all the great programming that's coming, that Tara's going to talk about next.
Okay, thanks, Lindsey. So on that, we will advance to the next slide. And I will ask Tara to talk about programming.
Thank you so much. So we have a whole host of programs, and we actually have a handout that we can provide of all the programs that are available online for Tumbler Ridge residents. Every year we have people who do some adult upgrading and also who access across our range of programs. I don't have time, or, well, I have time, but you don't have time for me to go through all of the programs we have available. So I just want to highlight a couple of new ones that I think you'll be quite interested in. So we're launching a new pharmacy technician diploma. And all of that theory is going to be online, and just 2 months of lab classes in person in Dawson Creek. This is one of the programs we developed out of the 2 years of consultation across the region for allied health programs. As we know, hospitals and other healthcare settings often have to close, not just because of nurse and doctor shortages, but shortages in pharmacy technician, among other things. So we know that this is the highest priority in the region that we heard about. We also are launching a mental health and substance use certificate with all the theory classes provided online and practicums arranged in the home community where possible. And we think that this is very timely across our region and of course particularly here. We have a new advanced certificate in interprofessional mental health and addictions, and also expanding our healthcare assistant certificate. So we've just expanded our in-person labs in Fort St. John, and we're looking at expanding them in Chetwynd and Fort Nelson. Some of our other programming, energy and environment. So we have a new Center for Applied Energy and Environmental Sustainability, a whole suite of environmental programs, as well as energy programs. We've started doing some short courses, for instance, in water management for oil and gas. So we're trying to really respond to what the community needs. Workforce training and continuing education, a whole division. We do one-off corporate training. We've done some in the past here for Canuma Coal. We also are just launching a wilderness guide school. So if anyone is interested in guiding and outfitting, stay tuned. We see this as a growth area and very appropriate to the region. We'll be launching that next spring. There are a number of community grants that are available, and this is something that could be quite feasible for the community. So there are community workforce response grants, project-based labor market training grants that we can work in partnership with the municipality, with organizations in the region. So as an example, we've just run introductions to facilities maintenance in partnership with the Dawson Creek Native Housing Society. Very basic training for people who have no hands-on skills, installed toilets, fixed drywall, really practical skills that are now providing job opportunities and contributing back to the community. And trades and apprenticeship, we are currently upgrading our 4th class boiler lab in Fort St. John. And we've added intakes of heavy mechanical and electrician because there's significant wait lists in the area. And we're doing a lot of consultation to see what kind of programming development is needed in the region in the future. And so Jessie will be talking about that.
Okay, I think.
Jessie or Todd? You want me
Or
to?
Todd.
You go.
Okay. She gave me the look, so I know she wants me to do this. This is our last slide. Just to share with Mayor and Council that I will be bringing our Northern Lights College Board of Governors to, we'll be hosting a retreat here in October. We'd like to do that here in Tumbler Ridge, especially as we're starting sort of a renovated or a refreshed sort of delivery mode of education. Our board would love the opportunity to engage with Mayor and Council, even if informally. And then more formally, we will be hosting some community listening sessions, which means we'll be inviting members from the community of Tumbler Ridge to come and engage with our Board of Governors as we just sort of check in to make sure that we're serving the needs of the communities across this region. And our Board of Governors, it's really important that they get to hear directly from community on how we're doing. So more information to come, but October 15th and 16th has been set aside for some dates where we plan to be in community for 2 days. With that, I'll thank you for your time, and we are certainly open to any questions or comments from Mayor and Council. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for coming into the community and giving us an update and explaining the new location with the upgrades underway. Appreciate that. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for everyone for coming in. Appreciate it. I've dealt myself with, I've met with you, Mr. Bondaroff, and Mr. Dowling, and I definitely sing your praises about your willingness to adapt to the needs of whatever is out there, right? We've worked together for trying to create ECE cohorts to get more ECE workers in Tumbler Ridge, to work with nursing programs. If it's out there, it's available. And all the information you gave me about the ways that students can access education, is amazing to hear about the digital classrooms and such like that. So I really appreciate your willingness to still offer education for rural communities like ours. One of the questions I had is regarding your new space. Is this going to be a long-term stay there, or is it temporary? Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's a great question, Councilor Norbury. So our plans at the moment, we've signed a 2-year lease for that space. We are in conversations with ministry as they're starting to think about what the new high school is going to look like and whether or not our college has a place there. I would say, just kind of looking around provincially, I'm not noticing a lot of sort of coexistence between post-secondary and the K-12 system for a number of reasons. Now, obviously, the space that we're moving into is significantly smaller than where we were, but it has all the benefits of being right downtown, sidewalk access, and really, outside of, small space within the space to host students. I would say our short-term strategy, and we'll have to sort of work together with the community to figure this out, but certainly if we have bigger cohorts, so larger groups of students, or some community learning events that are being planned, I think we'd be interested in working with the community to rent space, some bigger space in town when needed. So I would say for the next 2 years, that's the strategy in front of us. Now, certainly as we have more conversation about where we can go, that might be a perfect space for us to occupy, or maybe we need something a little differently down the road. But for now, it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, keeping the door open, but this is the plan for now, so I appreciate that. You know, I really liked the your offerings that you talked about. Healthcare is a huge issue with us here in the entirety of the province, especially in the north. The Wilderness Guide School is something that is definitely picking up for sure. Something I wanted to kind of throw out there, and I recognize that it's not something that you can answer in now, but you know, if you're taking feedback on what the community is looking for, you know, we definitely have a couple of trades trailers up here to help to assist our school, but long term, I know you guys have a great trades building, and you know, I've taken a tour of all of those bays that you have in there. You know, so you know, I'd love to hear, or you know, if we take it back of how we can get some of Tumbler Ridge's students out there utilizing that space. You know, because I know the dual credit program is great. It's hard to get out there. You know, it might be hard for students to be there for long periods of time. So, I mean, it'd be great if we could look at creative options, or maybe offering stays at the dorms for students if they need to be there for multiple days. You know, I'd love for Tumbler Ridge to be able to access what you guys have out there, because it's an amazing facility. Yeah, just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Noted.
Councillor Julik?
I just really wanted to thank you for coming in. I really appreciate the online programs. I know that that's important in this neck of the woods. I know you guys probably see that a lot in the different things, and really wanted to thank you for the thoughtfulness of the Memorial Fund for us folks here in Tumbler Ridge. It means a lot, so thanks for coming in, and the continued work that you do and adapting, like everybody, adapting when you needed to adapt. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate all the information and updates. I'm just curious on the new space on the online capacity. Is there a difference compared to the old campus?
Steve's going to say it should be better.
Absolutely, took the words out of my mouth. We will be looking, that's one of the things I should have mentioned earlier, is that there will be, of course, IT equipment that needs to be installed. And I just had a brief meeting with the head of our IT department, I think Wednesday or Thursday of last week, who used quite a bit of words and technology that were above my head, but I think it's sort of what Todd said, is some of it should be even better in terms of different screens and interactive screens that can work. Sort of maybe we're ahead of the game of where we were planning to be in a few years anyways, and with a new space, it's enabled us to get ahead of the curve, so, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I just curious if there was a decrease in capacity there or not, because I know this campus is definitely reliant on online capacity for sure. So I'm just curious if there was. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Got a couple. When we talk about different, you know, allied healthcare and all that, is there a certain amount of seats held for the north? So obviously you're running a college, let's fill the seats. Are we holding a certain amount of seats for the north?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ministry is really promoting partnerships across different colleges. So the pharmacy technician certificate we're doing in partnership with Selkirk College. And part of the memorandum is that the seats in our cohort are reserved for people in the north.
Okay, appreciate that.
I'll add that we haven't yet been in a position where we've had waitlisted students going into healthcare. Should that be the case, we're really close to that now. Should that be the case, then we will prioritize students who are from the region ahead of those who are not. And we'll have to build a process and some thinking around that, but we're not quite there at this point yet.
Okay, and I appreciate that. And just make some comments. I've read what has come out from the school district. It seems to me the lean is that the school size, when they build a new school, will not change. That is one of, I'll say, a stipulation, a direction. If you need any advocacy from this council to work with School District 59 and infrastructure, I'm all for that. I mean, it depends on where they decide. It'll be up to them where they decide the locations. But again, to me, we need to make sure that we have that college accessible here for the community. So, we say students, but sometimes it's adults that need to go back or want to go back or whatever it may be. And to me, it's a lot easier if there's courses being offered within our own community, and we don't have to have our members traveling the highway into Dawson and having to travel home or find different accommodations. And I think when we talked to dual credit that Councillor Norbury was talking about, I think that was the biggest, or that's one of the hurdles here, I think, with the dual credit, is finding the accommodations for our students, making sure they're accessible, that they can afford them. But if they can't, and some parents maybe not want their youth doing the overnights in Dawes Creek home every night. Well, we don't have a bus service either, so that just needs to be like when we talk about that dual credit, there's some way of flushing that out somehow for, I say not just Tumbler Ridge. I'd say Hudson Hope is probably in the same boat. I mean, maybe a little closer to Chetwynd if they're doing it there, but probably not doing dual credits except for Dawson. They probably have the same concern of how do we transport back and forth. And I think that's a big thing when we look at youth, they're 17 or 16 and a half or whatever it may be when they can actually go into dual credit because they graduate early. That's a pretty tough thing to take as a parent, having your daughter or your son take it off and living in Dawson that, they're used to a small community. Just something maybe to think about. But if you need any advocacy from this side, I would think you'd have council support, I would think.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Stay in touch. If you have any
thank you.
updates, stay in touch.
I will. Thanks.
Oh, is it hot in here? Okay, Northeast BC Accessibility Committee, Katie Stelfox, representing the District of Tumbler Ridge on the Northeast BC Accessibility Committee, in attendance to request council to proclaim National Accessibility Week at the District of Tumbler Ridge on May 31st. Am I something? Oh, geez, yeah, maybe, eh? Sorry, Al. Hey, must have been what the hat was there. Sorry, Al. I don't know if I missed that one on purpose. Al was in a hurry to get out of here, so I was trying to move somebody else ahead. Next delegation to Tumbler Ridge Community Forest, Al Kangas. I'm not sure who's on Zoom. And Duncan, are you guys coming up to the delegation table? And then you have somebody on Zoom. I'm not sure who's on Zoom. What's the score, Al?
1-0.
Tried to sneak that in.
Bad guys.
Oh. All right, floor is your guys'.
Pleased to be here, and for the first time ever, doing this within a short period of time before at the year end, instead of doing it a year after. But awesome. Anyhow, Pierre is our representative from KPMG, and he's going to go through our financials, at which time we'll open the floor for any potential questions or comments, and we'll move on. And there's a hockey game up here, so we'll try and make this quick.
Yep, sure. I'll just do a quick introduction to myself. So I'm the Senior Audit Manager on the audit engagement for the community forest. I work with Michaela Roque, who is the partner on the audit engagement. Today I'll be going through the audit report and some parts of the financial statements that we just point out because they changed during the year. So I'll just go through that. I'll just share the financial statements on the screen if I can get this tool to work for me.
Everybody has copies of the statements, do they not?
Yeah, we do.
Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'll start off with the auditor's report. It's broken down into three parts, just the opinion, responsibilities of management, responsibilities of the auditors. So the opinion we're issuing this year is a clean auditor's report. No modifications or any concerns to report. the responsibilities of management are to prepare the financial information and make sure it's free of errors. Our responsibility as auditors is to make sure that that financial information, we have reasonable assurance that it's free of material misstatements. And we were able to confirm that. That's why we've issued a clean auditor's opinion. That's the audit report. So moving on to the actual financial statements, I have on my screen the balance sheet of the community forest. We can see a few line items here, but I'll only point out the ones that saw a change or a significant enough change to have a discussion over. We can see the cash went from 450,000 to 141,000. However, that's just due to some payments from customers that were not made in time of the year end. So we can just see below the line of cash that there was an accounts receivable 310. So if you keep those both in mind, roughly cash remained consistent. And we were able to confirm that this 310,000 receivable was received shortly after the year end. Any other changes on the balance sheet? I would say the accounts payable increased from 26,234. This was just having more bills to be paid as of year end compared to the year before. The main vendor being PRT Growing Services as of year end. I'll move on to the statement of earnings, which just shows the income and the expenses during the year. We can see the sales decreased from 2.7 million to 1.9 or 2 million in the current year. This is just to lower logging and sales during the year. A number that corresponds with this is cost of sales, which usually is in proportion to the amount of sales. The more sales, the more cost of sales you have. However, we can see it decreased a bit more in proportion to the sale. This was just due to the estimate of silviculture obligation being lower in the current year compared to last year. Moving on to expenses. In terms of expenses, we can see amortization. Last year was a negligible number, but this year there is a $47,000. This was just some new assets that the community forest acquired last year, some access bridges that had their first full year of amortization. That's why we see a bigger number of amortization in the current year. Another increase in expenses we can see is forestry development cost. There were just more planning and layout mapping related to harvesting activities in the current year. Some expenses that existed last year, but we had none in the current year, was some wildfire reclamation work that was applicable last year and did not take place in the current year. Moving on to other income, we can see that there was unrealized gain and loss on investments, which increased to $477,000 this year, and this is just due to the stock markets doing better in 2025 compared to 2024. Overall, we can see that the net earnings were 1.4 million last year, and they are 1.27 this year. Although the sales income was lower this year, some of this was offset by the investment income doing better in the current year. Moving on to the next statement. So this is the statement of cash flows. I won't go into too much detail, but it just shows the cash that the entity had at the start of the year and the cash that the entity had at the end of the year, what contributed to the change. Overall, nothing specific to point out with the exception of the accounts receivable. So we can see cash ended up being lower compared to last year. This is just due to the $310,000 outstanding receivable from Conifex that was not received in time for the year-end cutoff. So that's what's contributing to lower cash as of year-end compared to last year. Those are the main statements that make up the face of the financial statements. We just have some accounting policies on the next few pages. No significant changes in the accounting policies year over year that we can point out. Moving on from the accounting policies, there's just some further breakdown of investments. So we talked about investments increasing from due to the stock market doing better. So it increased from 4.9 million to 6.3 million. Part of it was some purchases too, but most of it just the stock market's doing better in the current year compared to last year. This note just breaks down some investments between like different instruments. The next note is the property, plant, and equipment, just breaks down what kind of assets the community forest owns. Most of it is just the access bridge and some minor computer equipment. There is a note on silviculture obligation. Overall, it increased from 1.5 to 1.75. Just as you do more logging, you'll have more silviculture obligation to pay, but this was partially offset by some estimates in the current year, which required less brushing going forward compared to the prior years. So those are the two main items. So increase in obligation due to more sales, reduction in some obligation due to some walkthroughs and consulting work that confirmed that there will be less brushing need going forward. And some financial risks note. There's no change to point out here. These risks are common for any entities of in a similar industry. So liquidity risk, credit risk, no change in these risks in 2025 compared to 2024. So that concludes my presentation on the financial statements, but I'll just pause here if anyone has any questions.
Council? Any questions? Councilor Bertrand?
Mayor, thank you for coming in. Financials look great, well done, successful year. I'm just curious on a couple of accounts here. There's, back on page 42, under the expenses, we've got community support and grant support. I'm just wondering what the difference is there.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll go ahead, Pierre. Some of it is grants that people or groups ask for, and
Multiple years?
I can help a little bit.
yeah, help me with
So,
this now.
so grant support is where you apply for a grant through the website, and it's
Yes,
more
that's-
significant, and it requires you to fill some criteria. Community support is something that happens quickly, like the soccer team needs lunches or something, or something really quick, so the board doesn't have to go through, they can do that quite quickly and make that change. So we have a budget for each line item.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, we don't meet regularly all year, and some of the grant support we just do by email and yay, or nay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from council? All right, well, thank you very much.
I would just like to say one thing. Last year, we did recognize that the continued potential production that the community forest would have was in jeopardy of running out of wood, that we were in jeopardy of keeping the same levels that we've had last couple of years. So we've initiated a plan to take a look at what our total cut block has, whether it's sustainable or not, and what has to be done to increase if needed. And we should have that information probably by fall time. There's some more expenses against that, but it's information we need to know in order to be able to plan ourselves properly. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, I get a question now. Councilor Norbury?
You almost got out without any more questions. But since you brought it up, I think it's, I appreciate you bringing it up, Mr. Kangas, because later in this agenda, we're going to be talking about our meetings with ministry at the UBC on this year. And I'd love to get that information from the community forest for that meeting, because we definitely want to advocate on your behalf. And I recognize that with the fire that went through a couple of years ago, it definitely affected your ability to harvest. And you know, it seems reasonable to try and make that up to you, to the community forest as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's September. It'd be great if we can have it before then, but I recognize, you know, these things take time. But,
Yeah,
we'd love to be able to advocate for you.
And appreciate that, but you know, there's many different factors. When we first expanded the lot size, what was that, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? We based it on a certain amount of volume a year to be harvestable. And since then, different blocks have been taken out because it's become old growth, and so we just need to take another look at it. We're not confident we can sustain ourselves, and we just need to figure out what number a year it is to sustain ourselves, or is there a potential to expand? And in this current climate, there may be a potential to expand, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else from council? All right, thank you very much for coming in and sharing the audited financials and
early this year.
And early.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, Northeast BC Accessibility Committee, Katie Stelfox, representing the District of Tumbler Ridge on the Northeast BC Accessibility Committee, in attendance to request council to proclaim National Accessibility Week at the District of Tumbler Ridge on May 31st to June 6, 2026. Welcome, floor is yours.
Perfect, thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As mentioned, I'm presenting on behalf of the Northeast BC Collaborative Accessibility Committee. We are requesting that Council proclaim May 31st to June 6, 2026 as National Accessibility Week in the District of Tumbler Ridge. National Accessibility Week was established in 2017 by the Government of Canada. The week recognizes and celebrates contributions of Canadians with disabilities and promotes accessibility and inclusion in all aspects of community life. Communities across Canada participate through awareness initiatives and activities that encourage accessibility and inclusion for everyone. Proclaiming National Accessibility Week demonstrates the district's ongoing commitment to creating a more accessible and inclusive community. It's also an opportunity to recognize the achievements and contributions of individuals with disabilities within Tumbler Ridge and across Northeast BC. Accessibility benefits everyone by helping create a safer, more welcoming, and more inclusive space for residents and visitors alike. Thank you to Council for your continued support of accessibility and inclusion initiatives within our community. I would ask that Council approve the proclamation of May 31st to June 6, 2026 as National Accessibility Week in the District of Tumbler Ridge.
Thanks very much for the information. Any questions from council? Thank you very much for presenting. All right, moving on. Proclamation National Accessibility Week, May 31st to June 6, 2026. There's a recommendation there. Somebody like to read it. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the week of May 31st to June 6th, 2026 be proclaimed as National Accessibility Week in the District of Tumbler Ridge, and that the National Accessibility Week continue to be observed annually in accordance with the dates established by the federal government calendar, and that Council approves the draft proclamation as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana, discussion. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. All right, just before we continue, I'm going to make the proclamation. Whereas National Accessibility Week was established in 2017 by the Canadian Council on Rehabilitation and work to celebrate contributions of Canadians with disabilities and to promote accessibility and inclusion in all aspects of society. And whereas this week provides an opportunity to recognize the achievements and the ongoing efforts of individuals, organizations, and communities that are working to remove barriers and create a more accessible, inclusive Canada. And whereas residents with disabilities make vital contributions to the social culture, economic fabric of our community and across Northeast British Columbia. And whereas the District of Tumbler Ridge supports the efforts to raise awareness, foster inclusion, and advance accessibility for all. Now therefore, the Council of the District of Tumbler Ridge hereby proclaims the week of May 31st to June 6th as National Accessibility Week in the District of Tumbler Ridge, and encourage all citizens to join in recognizing the importance of accessibility and inclusion in our community. All right. Councilor Norbury? Oh,
It's consent agenda.
sorry. Moving on to consent to agenda, and I'll take the recommendation. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor, that the items on the May 25th, 2026 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councilor Oksana, all in favor? Carried. Are there any items council would like to bring forward for discussion? Councilor Norbury.
7.6, Tier Day Society for discussion.
Seconder, Councilor Hoffman, all in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I figured it'd be a good spot to start with as many people in attendance. So we have a request here from TR Day Society to extend their lease, in which I do know they have multiple plans for this year, and their lease is expiring soon. I believe we absolutely need to do something in now, so we could keep them going as operators of this facility, because they're doing such great work out there, and I'd hate for there any lapse of ownership or loss of programs that they have going on.
Thank you. Any discussion by council? Motion? Oh, Councilor Hoffman?
That's okay. I'm usually quiet. Yeah, I mean, we had the discussion not too long ago about this, and I do think something can be done. I'm not going to jump in on a notion from Mr. Norbury, but just reading the terms, that the extension can be for a period of up to 2 years, provided both parties agree to this extension. We could do a shorter extension and have the process continue after that. We can't re-extend. We would have to do a new lease agreement at that point, but that is an option we didn't really talk about last time, so just throwing that out there.
Thank you. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. So in the letter, we see that Tier Days has not received a agreement by the 13th. Can we get any confirmation if they've received lease since then? Something?
Ms. Scott?
The draft lease agreement was sent at 7:54 a.m. on May 19th.
Follow up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And, the lease is expiring on the 28th. 9 days between, submission of the lease, a potential lease to a nonprofit society, which needs to go to the board to have discussions to go over. I think 9 days is a very short period of time. There needs to definitely have some discussions happening. So I would like to see them be given some time to work through this, because I'm sure everyone can appreciate the amount of work that has been going on in the district, and the priorities have made things become lost in the sauce, right? So I would like to motion that we extend the current lease for 6 months while lease negotiations take place.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Noxana. Discussion? My only concern would be, I don't know if this holds up the lease negotiations. I guess my comment would be, I understand there's some legal remedies that are involved. I'd like to hear from the CEO when it comes in regards to what this does in regards to that. Ms. Scott?
In regards to the specific legal requirements or the changes, there was the new lease agreement template that was provided by legal counsel in 2024 identifies a lot of gaps that were missing from previous lease agreements. There's a lot of things that are included in that. Some of them are the requirement for security deposits. One of them is providing clarification on the liability to taxation, the requirement to provide a risk management plan. There's several things that were identified in the new lease agreement template that were previously missing from previous lease agreements.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clear up with staff that if we extend this for 6 months, that any further extensions on the existing lease agreement would not be possible. It would have to be a newly negotiated lease agreement.
Ms. Scott?
That's correct.
Councillor Julik?
I understand the urgency. I also understand that this isn't a new date. We didn't spring a new date on anybody about the lease agreement. And I believe that we need to be consistent in how we manage all of the leases within the community. We just had a member of the Sportsman Association acknowledge their concerns moving forward, and they've come in a timely manner from what I understand, because I haven't seen the lease agreement yet. And so I think that we need to be mindful when doing these leases and that we are consistent all the way across. I won't be supporting the motion. I think that I've been on boards where we get our stuff together and we have special meetings. We do that here at council as well. While it's the 28th, I believe Ms. Scott said that it was May 19th that the lease was sent off. So I won't be voting in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councillor Jug, I don't disagree in principle that try to be consistent, try to hold timelines. I also know a lot of staff time in the last 3 months were used for unplanned purposes, and I don't know. I don't think 9 days is reasonable when you have a bunch of back and forth that you're looking to do for a lease agreement. The reason I'm going to support this is I think 6 months, this will be expired within the year. It also will be expiring during a time where the grounds will not be nearly as used as it is over the next little while. I understand there's several things that are booked already for the season, and this gives us kind of a chance to hard reset this year. Excuse me. So because we can get a hard reset to new negotiations under the terms that are being recommended, I actually like this as a solution, that it works for TR days, and we have plenty of time to negotiate a new round, and if it doesn't work out, then we have other alternatives that we can look at doing in that time period. I just can't see how we're going to get this done in 9 days. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, in my discussions with the TRD Society, this has not been something that they have just waited patiently for. They have reached out. They have asked. And I definitely have sympathy for our organization in that we've also had a lot going on. And, I don't think we should be passing this lack of capacity onto the TRD Society, in that, we've been dealing with, an incredible amount of issues that are coming and going in our community because of what's happened in February. And they have reached out. We're punishing them by having this increased, very truncated timeline for them to operate. I want to give them 6 months to go through this, get their year done, and, look at the lease. Make sure it fits for them. Because at the end of the day, I want to ensure that this lease works for them, works for us and the residents of Tumbler Ridge. This gives them time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scott, hang on a second. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in support of the extension. I don't think there's enough time to have any kind of meaningful negotiation or even have enough time to go through it and meet with lawyers and the board and all that. But I'm curious, given that it's an election year, election in October, and then this extension would be up in December or the end of the year. I'm just curious from staff side if they think that 6 months is a reasonable amount of time to get this done, given the time commitment during election and as well as the writ and like the function of council after election is limited for quite a few weeks after, or so. I'm just curious if staff feels that that's enough time.
Ms. Scott.
I mean, I can't speak for how much time TRDs would take, but I mean, from staff's side, yes, I think that's lots of time.
Councillor Jilic?
I think my understanding as I've talked to different parties is that there has been some discussion on both sides. I by no means want anybody to leave here thinking that our staff was negligent, because that is not, in my opinion, what happened. I think that there was a lot of mitigating factors, and so I want to take this moment to say that our staff did what they needed to do. I'm not pointing fingers at TRDs. I am saying that, again, it cannot continue to be the District of Tumbler Ridge's administration whose sole responsibility is to work on the lease. From what I understand, the last connection to our staff was in November. There's 3 months between November and February. And this is the part of, for me, that I get frustrated with, is because then somebody else's emergency becomes ours, and things do not get done in a proper and equitable manner. So I just, again, would like to repeat that this was not any wrongdoing on our staff side, and I still won't be supporting the motion on the floor. I believe we need to be consistent and across the board.
Thank you. Ms. Scott, if I may, and if you may answer, maybe you can't, should ask ahead of time. If this lease is not extended, or the extension is not given, if the lease was to run out on the 27th, do the TRDs not just continue under an operating agreement? Or something like that, if they already have events booked, I believe is my understanding.
It wouldn't be automatic. That would be something further council would have to discuss if we wanted to have an operating agreement.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to make a couple comments, and I don't want anybody blamed. You know, I had a very good conversation with the executive director of TRDs, and they also had to respect. Nobody planned for an event. So to put it on staff at our staff capacity and all that, I actually believe both parties had some consideration here. And I don't blame either party. Again, I think there's an event that happened in this community that nobody planned for, and I think it was respect from both sides. Other things were being dealt with instead of, in good faith, come out of it at the end to negotiate and work on a lease. I just want to make sure that's clear. I don't want to put district staff against a society, or the society against the district staff on where we lay the line for negotiations in regards to renewal. You know, I think both had respect for this community as a whole, and I think that needs to be said. Just hearing, you know, the comments, I don't think we can put any blame on any organization or anybody within the community, within Town Hall, Ms. Scott or her staff. Again, I think it was respect from that day. So, okay, any other discussion? I'm going to call the question. It's an extension of 6 months. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Julick, Mayor Kakalka is opposed. Motion carries. Any other items council like to bring forward for discussion? I'd like to bring in, I'm just going to bring them both, 7.7 and 7.8 for discussion. They're both the same, from the same resident with the same concern, in my idea, for discussion. Councillor Norbury? Councillor Bertrand?
Yeah, I won't be participating in that conversation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jilic?
I also will be not participating.
Thank you. If they're in conflict or they're just not participating, not sure. I'm assuming they're in conflict. They should perceive that they should be calling for a conflict. So I would say they're both conflicts. One's an employee and one's the trustee. My comments would be pretty straight, simple. I put a motion on the floor that staff reaches out to Helen Scott and advise her that to send these letters, because we cannot respond to them, to the school district office and to the school district 59 board, as this is their lane, not the District of Tumbler Ridge's. If I can get a second. Councillor Hoffman, discussion. And I'll just make a comment. I think it's important that we direct these to the right appropriate channels. If residents have a concern, that they are directed to the right channel, so that they may get a reply back in regards from the school district itself or from the board in regards to the letter that she's submitted here in correspondence. Okay, can I call a question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Do you mind grabbing those two? Are there any other items council like to bring forward? Councillor Noxana.
7.2, South Peace Health Services Society.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. All in favor? Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I need to step out and declare conflict of interest as I am the president of the board. Thank you.
Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. The South Peace Health Services Society has asked us for a letter of support, and I would like to make a motion that we provide them with that
Okay, and what's the letter of support for?
for continued funding with the Northern Health.
Okay, seconder on that? Councillor Hoffman. Discussion? I'll make a couple comments. This actually came up at the Northern Health meeting at the NCLJ. My understanding is there needs to be some more discussion had, and I mean, I still support sending a letter, don't get me wrong, but there needs to be more discussion had by the board and Northern Health. Directly from the CEO of Northern Health, they are not pulling funding. They need to have a look at how they can make it more occupancy filling, not just with people, maybe there's different round, but I mean, the board needs to make those decisions, not my decisions to make. So I think that board needs to get together with Northern Health. My understanding it was Lisa and Zeta and Kendra from Northern Health have started those discussions. And I just think, I mean, letter of support's great, but they need to, the board needs to sit down with these individuals and have a discussion. I want to make sure it's clear that that's what Shiro said to us in the room, and it's even better now that it's taped on Zoom, that he had no plans of pulling funding. They're looking at different models on how to get occupancy up within the Poultry House. Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. I recognize that there's a lot of conversations that have to come to continue to fund this facility, but there's a lot of residents in Tumbler Ridge also that rely on accommodation either in Dawson or other places, so I'd hate to see it get lost just because of miscommunication or just, you know, whatever happens. So would like to just ensure that we have given our full support and weight behind the Poultry's House.
Thank you. Councillor Julik and then Councillor Bertrand.
I see in the letter on page 52 that the letter that was included in our package asked for two specific things within a resolution. I guess what I'm asking with, after your conversations with Northern Health, do you see a conflict in those specific resolutions within the letter? They're about 3/4 of the way down. Okay.
Nope, I don't. I mean, I think that's why Councillor Noxana joined the meeting. Again, I think she was very clear what the idea of this letter of support would be. It's to make sure it stays in the forefront, and I think it also gives clear direction to Northern Health to get to the table with them. I know they're busy, but they need to be reaching out to the board as well. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have some concerns here with the letter, just given that it states Northern Health has decided to discontinue funding at the end of this year. So if that's not the case, I'm not sure why we're sending a letter of support to continue funding to Northern Health. Within the letter, it asks the Ministry of Health to continue fully support the funding. I'm not exactly sure where the funding comes from, but I think we're confused here.
Yeah, so I don't want to speak on behalf of South Peace Health Services. So I'll give you an update or a little bit of info that I know of. So it is funded through Northern Health, but from the Ministry of Health to Northern Health, from Northern Health to the Poultries. So it was, the discussion was they had funding for 2026. There was conversations had. Again, I don't know if all the information is coming out, different sides, but when we met with Cheryl, I was specifically asked him, I said, my understanding is you're trying to pull funding for the Poultry House. He said, absolutely not true. Not true. Occupancy right now is at 28%. There has to be different ways of getting the occupancy up. Different models, different, again, I don't know what he's, like, again, I think that's a board decision. I don't want to make, that's a board that's outside my hands. So there may be ideas from Northern Health that are coming. Maybe the board doesn't like that. That's going to have to be a board decision. So no, my understanding from Chair, and Councilor Knox can speak to it, no, the funding isn't going to be pulled, but they also have to be opening up discussion to look at different models to get occupancy levels up. So it says Ministry of Health because it is funded through Ministry of Health to Northern Health. So when this first started, it was actually gone, it went directly to the Deputy Minister of Health when Poultry House started to get funding. And it was approved there and then fed into Northern Health. So I think to me, it's, you know, it is Ministry of Health, but, you know, I did obviously reach out to the minister already, and she filled me in the same information that Chiro has. Councilor Noxana?
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to repeat some of that the funding is through Northern Health now, but I think the biggest thing from the District of Tumbler Ridge is we want open communication between those two groups. But my concern and our concern in Tumbler Ridge is ensuring that there is affordable patient care or patient accommodation when our residents go out of town because they have to for so many services. So I would like to continue to advocate for that specifically in this letter for the Poultry's House.
Councilor Julik.
I'm in favor of the resolution, including that the mayor and council of Tumbler Ridge recognizes the importance of affordable patient accommodation and accessing health care. The second statement, because I don't know what that looks like, they fully support the funding of Poultry House operations. When I hear Northern Health having some concerns around that, I would think that they have some concerns around the fully funding the operations. I think that I absolutely think there's an importance of affordable patient accommodation. I just wonder if we are getting out of our lane when it comes to the funding part of operations when we don't have that information in front of us.
Yeah, again, Ms. Scott, and I can read the motion. I mean, we're sending a letter of support for full funding. Same funding model they're at today. Again, I think it keeps to the forefront. Ms. Scott, get the motion.
The motion that's in the letter says that mayor and council of Tumbler Ridge recognize the importance of affordable.
That's not the motion that Councilor Noxana read out, though.
Oh, that's the motion you're looking for. Oh, sorry.
Does staff have it, or?
The motion was that the district provide a letter of support for continued funding for the Poultry's House from Northern Health.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any other discussion in regards to South Peace Health Services Society before we bring Councilor Norbury in? Oh, yeah, right, it locks from the outside. Okay, are there any other items that council would like to bring forward for discussion? Councilor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. 7.12 for discussion.
Seconder. Councilor Norbury, all in favor? Carried. Councilor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to see this on the agenda again this year. I do remember it last year. I think it was an overwhelming success given the statistics that are in the report. And I'd like to continue this. I'm just looking for the motion here.
There's a motion later on in the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you. Fully support it, and I think it's a great venture.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion? Oops. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. 7.3 for discussion.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana, all in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a letter here from the BC Rural Health Network since their last delegation. And I think it would be great to add our voice to their network. The cost is quite low. So I'd like to motion that we join the BC Rural Health Network. Thank you.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana, discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Counselor Bertrand's opposed. Motion carries. Any other items? Counselor Knox-Allen.
Thank you. 7.5, City of Abbotsford.
Discussion seconder, Counselor Norbury, all in favor? Carried. Counselor Knox-Allen.
Thank you. We have a letter from the City of Abbotsford about the provincial sales tax expansion. I think that we should probably write a letter opposing this tax expansion as well. It's asking us to pay increased taxes with money that we're receiving by collecting taxes, which seems a little bit absurd to me. So I'll let Councillor Norbury or anyone else who wants to speak first before I make my motion.
This is, just so council's aware, this is the resolution at the NCLJ that passed. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kalka. Thanks, Councilor Knox-Allen, for picking it up as well. I mean, this could have tens of thousands of dollars of implications on the District of Tumbler Ridge, and I absolutely support a letter of support along with the City of Abbotsford opposing this change to the Finance Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Knox-Allen.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that we provide them with a letter of support to the Finance Minister opposing this provincial sales tax expansion.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Norbury, discussion? And just so everybody's aware, I believe it'll come up to the UBCM. It's been a resolution at the NCLJ that's already passed. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any other items council like to bring forward for discussion? Okay. We're going to take is there anything else? Okay, we're taking a 5-minute break. Bylaws, election and assent voting bylaw number 763, 2026 for readings. Report dated May 25th from the Director of Corporate Services regarding elections and asset voting bylaw number 763, 2026 for readings. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That council gives first reading to the elections and assent voting bylaw number 763, 2026.
Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Second recommendation, Councillor Hoffman.
The council gives second reading to the elections and assent voting bylaw number 763, 2026.
Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Third recommendation, Councillor Noxena.
The council gives third reading to the elections and assent voting bylaw number 763, 2026.
Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. Discussion. Again, just make a comment. If there's anything that people don't like wording or changes, now's the time. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. New business, recreation sites and trails, BC Partnership Agreement, Flatbed Falls Trails, report dated May 15th, 2026 from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure regarding recreation sites and trails, BC Partnership Agreement, Flatbed Falls Trail. Recommendation, please, Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That council ratify the Recreation Sites and Trails BC Partnership Agreement number PA26DPC-012 between the Province of British Columbia and the District of Tumbler Ridge for the management and maintenance of the Flatbed Falls Trails and associated infrastructure for the term April 1, 2026 to April 1, 2036, and that the Mayor and the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the district.
Seconder, Councillor Hoffman. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. 2026 UBCM Ministry Meetings report dated May 25th, 2026 from the Executive Assistant CEO, Mayor, and Council regarding the 2026 Minister Meetings. Recommendation. Councilor Norbury.
For discussion, Mayor.
Seconder, Councilor Noxena. All in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure where we want to start. If we wanted to start with Appendix A and start working our way down.
I wonder if we just come with a list at the PMP or the next meeting. Gives council some time. Because to me, if we're going to put a minister meeting out there, we need topics and not just off the hawk here. We can't keep going back to minister meetings with the same ask, with the same response. Is that good with council? I think it gives some people time. If you're, you can go on site and can see the ministers and what they're under. But to me, it gives a fair go at it. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if we have the information of what we have asked for and what was said no to, say, the last few years.
I just have last year's.
I'm just saying that if we have, I'm just essentially asking staff if we have an easy record of that. If we don't, that's fine. But just, if we're going to spend the time going through and looking for new asks, having a little more background on it would be nice. That's all.
Yep, no problem. Ms. Scott, is that easily accessible?
Yes, if you can just provide direction which years you would like, we can add that.
Sorry, thank you. I'd say the last 3 years would be reasonable.
Seconder? Councillor Noxena, discussion on the motion.
Okay, fair enough.
Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Julick's opposed. Motion carries. More discussion? Councillor Julick?
I was just wondering if there was a deadline that we needed to accommodate to the province.
Yeah, it's June something. Ms. Scott, I don't have it in front of me.
It is.
It's in the agenda here. Page 9 there.
Oh, I don't see it in the report either.
That's okay. I'll use my magic. Just let's come forward with discussions. If we're past the deadline, I'll send it in myself. Pretty sure they'll grant our requests. They've been pretty good. So I'm going to be straightforward. We're past the deadline. So be it. We can put it in there. I would also state that if you're going to pick a minister, we also meet with the staff the week before via Zoom. UBCM has done different this year. So staff will be the week before via Zoom, and it'll only be minister meetings at UBCM. So I think it gives us an opportunity. If we're going to pick a minister, we'll also have staff to see if we can get a staff meeting the week before to go through that. And then hopefully the week that we're there in Vancouver, the minister should be not looking for the information. It should already be in front of him or her. Okay. Anything else from council? Okay, moving on. Women's Golf Week report dated May 25th, 2026 from the facilities manager regarding Women's Week. Staff had to have read my mind because I was going to do a notice of motion last year, so I'm taking the thunder, sorry. The council supports the Women's Golf Week initiative annually by offering a 50% reduction in green fees for female golfers of all ages during the Women's Golf Week. Seconder, Councilor Norbury, or Councilor Bertrand, sorry. Whatever. Discussion, Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. I could stay on there as a seconder. I don't think Councilor Bertrand minds. But yeah, great initiative. I know last year had tremendous success, and I'll repeat the same thing that I said last year. I think it's time for Men's League to step up and try and get something the same. Thanks.
Any other discussion? I know we already have a sponsor when it comes to youth and children, but I would think that's a 50% reduction if it's female golfers, and if we could record that, Ms. Scott?
Yes, we've already discussed that with staff.
Okay. I'm not sure if we have it within budget, and I would, maybe you do, but I think we should be advertising this. And I get that, we're really supporting our community, but this is a way of supporting, one, our golf course and show people the gem we have, but also women in the region. If there's a way of maybe asking your counterparts within your dialogue to see if we can get that out there. I'm fine seeing our golf course busy, and I think it's a way of people that have not come here maybe to come golfing. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is really that it's too successful. It's 1 week, and from what I understand, it's quite busy last year. I fully expect it to be at least equally busy this year, and if we're advertising and expanding, it may be hard to get tee times for our local women, but in the end, I wouldn't mind seeing the options, and especially since it's happening right now, what their usage was. If we're basically 100% full locally, then I'm not sure I want to advertise wider without expanding it in some shape, fashion, or form. Thank you.
Yeah, and I say advertise, we have ladies' night will be captured in this. 2 of them is what the report says. Do I think there's still openings? I do. I think this is an opportunity again to sell our golf course for people to come back at another time as well. People watch our live feed anyways, they'll get out there anyways, but I think it's important to, I would hope other golf courses see what the District of Tumbler Ridge is doing, and maybe they pick it up regionally. District of Taylor owns their golf course, they could do the same thing there. And maybe they do, and it's not noted. But I just think that we talk about how great our golf course is here. To me, it's the nicest one in the region, and it's a way of showcasing it. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, moving on to schedule of meetings and events. Oh, do I have to vote still? All right, let's do that first then. Sorry, you guys got me confused. Call the question, all in favor? Well, it automatically was going to pass, come on now. First date. All right, schedule of meetings and events, just so everybody's aware, there is it's on there, 4 o'clock tomorrow is the workshop, bottom of the visitor center. Come prepared. I don't have anything else. Councillor Knoxown.
Thank you. I would like to propose we change the June 15th meeting to June 16th. We have FIFA.
Yep, make a motion. That was my motion.
Okay, I'm motioning we change the June 15th meeting to the 16th.
Seconder. Councillor Bertrand. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Anything else from council? Anything from staff?
No.
Thank you. Any notice of motions? Okay. 10.1 reimbursement for dinner provided to school district. That's reimbursement for dinner provided to the teachers. At the May 4th, 2026, Councilor Norbury brought forward the following notice of motion. Councillor Bertrand?
I have to step out for conflict.
Okay. Okay, and so do I. So that means by the, I believe by the charter, if we don't have quorum, we're not, none of us are in conflict, is my understanding. We can't have no quorum and move forward. Ms. Scott, there's got to be something that happens when there's no quorum due to conflict. There's something written there, I just can't remember how it reads. Okay, take a 5-minute break. There is something in there about if there's conflict with quorum. Meeting back to order. Gonna put a deferral on the notice of motion by Councillor Norbury to the next regular council meeting. Seconder, Councillor Noxana. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councillor's business. Thanks, Councillor Noxana. Any councillor's business from the floor and Norbury? Sorry, didn't see that. Sorry. I gave you lots of names already. Anything from the floor? Councillor Noxana?
Thank you. I attended NCLGA last week and Prince George, and we were able to have a meeting with Northern Health to advocate for health needs in our community. A bit of discussion about positions open in town and avenues to fill them. We did bring forward the Baltry's House and asked for a commitment to keep this model available to this model of accommodation available to our residents. And my understanding is there'll be some ongoing conversation now. At NCLGA, we were able to elect a new board for the 2026-2027 year, which includes Kyle McDonald from Dawson Creek as president for the coming year. We had Minister Anderson come up and answer questions from the floor for a bit. There was a ton of resolutions, and we got through all of them. There was one for increased mental health services in communities. There was ones for better services on roads in our region. There was a resolution to go to UBCM advocating against the proposed tax changes that was in the letter we discussed today from the city of Abbotsford, and yeah, tons and tons of resolutions. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other thing from the floor? Okay, a couple things. I also attended NCLGA. Councillor Noxana has gone through most of it. 220 attendees, registered attendees. I would say, and I could be maybe off by a few numbers, I don't believe at any time there was more than 100 people in the room. So when you think there's 220 people registered, maybe some people didn't come, but it was low numbers. One thing that there is talk about, like people are tired of going to Prince George for NCLGA. It's been there lots. But it is more of a better location than everywhere. You know, I won't say everywhere else, but you know, when you think Fort Nelson for people that are coming all the way from Kitimat and Terrace and Rupert, and that's a long ways. Next year has yet been finalized on where the location is. It was going to be Quesnel, but Quesnel pulled out 2 weeks ago. So they're still looking for a location for next year. They talked about Tumbler Ridge, but we don't have enough hotels, so that's a tough one. I suggested they should look at just maybe NCLJ hosting it themselves, whether that's Prince George or in Dawson Creek or something like that, but they can't finalize the thing. So there's lots of conversation about changing it up as well in regards to, you know, I'd say people that want to debate resolutions, like there's 5 and 10 minute times given to go on and on. It really dragged out the resolutions. But I think they'll change it up. The new board I think is going to be strong. So hopefully they'll work through some different ideas. I thought Minister Anderson had some pretty good updates in regards to some of the stuff that she's working on. She does have a big tour planned, not coming north right away, but she is going to start touring this summer to rural locations and remote communities. Sometime this summer we'll probably see Minister Anderson come up this way, which is important. I know they are this year. Their retreat, I believe, it's in Kelowna or Penticton this year, but they are looking at coming to the north for one of their retreats. So I did suggest Tumbler Ridge would be a good place for them to have their retreat. I think gives an opportunity for the region as well as the district, Tumbler Ridge, to be able to have that connection and be able to show them why we have those requests at UBCM year after year after year. Obviously, a couple months ago, I went to Victoria, and there were some announcements I didn't make, and one's obviously come out now with Minister of Tourism making an announcement about FIFA for June 15th. That was announced when I was at the Ledge, just couldn't be shared publicly until staff worked through some of the process with FIFA. There was quite a bit of mandates from FIFA, what staff may do and staff may not do, so they had to work through that process first. It is all fully funded by government. The District of Tumbler Ridge will not be taking on any responsibility when it comes to funding. I think it'll be important, knowing that it's a work week, it's a school week. It'll be important to really advertise it. Hopefully we get some people out to FIFA. I think it'll be another great opportunity for our community to have that showcase here. I have been in discussion with Premier Eby about twice a week, just updates. So if anybody's hearing anything on the ground, I only hear so much. Feel free to reach out to me. Just connect to update where we're at in the community, what we're seeing, if we have any gaps or if there's any other needs that we're not catching, that we're connecting. And then I'll give more of an update at the next meeting. But I want to thank staff too for working with infrastructure in regards to not only getting sod on the soccer pitch, but also having irrigation. I think that's important. It'll definitely take away from staff time throughout the summers to have that field irrigated. And, you know, I think Ministry of Infrastructure promised the field would come back in better shape than it was when they first installed stage 1 trailers. And I do believe we're going to see that. So hats off to staff. I know they worked pretty hard in the last couple of weeks getting quotes and getting information back to infrastructure to make that happen. So I think that's important. Other than that, I have nothing else. Questions from the gallery? Mr. Howe, you have any questions? Not one. Ms. Scott, any emailed in questions about the agenda tonight? Thanks. Take a resolution to closed. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor, that the May 25th, 2026 regular council meeting be closed to the public according to sections 91J and 92B3 of the Community Charter to permit discussions about information that is prohibited or information that, if it were presented in a document, would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a First Nation or a prescribed Indigenous entity, or between a First Nation or a prescribed Indigenous entity and a third party.
Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. All in favor? Carried. How much time?